Hello there, everyone. The one called Fate is a dead meme. We're back with another episode of Tabletop Recap. I'm your host, Hunt, and we also have our regular co-host today, Big Boy Chungus.
Hello.
And we got another part of Descent into Avernus for you. We usually don't do 2 Descent into Avernuses in a row, but we gonna. I think the last one was also Descent into Avernus. And then I don't think we even hung out last week, did we?
No, everyone was pretty much busy.
Yeah, I was working and you were doing something, and G was with you. So, but yeah, today we're doing. I think it's part 5 of Descent into Avernus. Actually, let me check.
I've been keeping track of the sessions.
No, no, it's part 5. Part 4 was Hallow's End. Remember?
That's right. I missed
Hallow's End. That adds an extra one in there. Definitely check out the Hallow's End part. It's not technically part of the Descent into Avernus story. It was a Halloween special we did, but it was incredible. We're going to write a sequel because it was just so fun. But, yeah, so today we're talking about Descent into Avernus, continuing on from where we left off. Let's roll for initiative real quick, like. I'm going to use D-Legend's lucky die from today. I got 13.
I got 13 as well.
You take it. You're DM anyways. And on the D&D episodes, we usually just let the DM go first, but we still roll sometimes because it's customary.
So this was a very busy session. I think this is the longest one we've had so far, reaching almost 6 hours.
It felt longer than it was, too.
But we got a ton of stuff, both personal character development and general story-wise.
Give us a slight recap of like the last 2 sessions or so.
So, 2 sessions ago, our characters finished and made their way through the Dungeon of the Dead 3, where they met Mortlock Vanthampur, who is the youngest son of the Vanthampur Patriarch family. For those who don't remember, Patriarchs are basically like the dukes and the parliament members who run Baldur's Gate and are the upper wealthy elite. Now, the reason why Vanthampur is important is because the city of Eltruel has gone missing. It is just a crater in the ground now that no one seems to know exactly what's gone on with, except for the Vanthampur family. Various refugees have come from the city of Eltruel who managed to get out of the city and have made their way to Baldur's Gate, where they are being shut out of the city by the Flaming Fist and the other law enforcement guard agents. This is because Baldur's Gate does not have a very good relationship with Eltruel, and they don't really want all of these refugees and members of the Flaming Fist, who are like Eltruel's version of the Flaming Fist, to come in and cause trouble. So they're trying to get a handle on the situation. While the Flaming Fist deals with this, the party is given instruction and conscripted by the Flaming Fist to find and fight and get rid of members of a cult group called the Dead Three, which are followers of 3 different gods of evil origin. Evil! So they find the dungeon, they defeat the members and the leaders of the cult, and they find Mortlock, who is the Vanthampur representative for the Dead Three, who is responsible for coordinating their attacks on the public and paying them off. Mortlock informs them that their family, mainly his 2 older brothers, Emmerich and Thirstwell, have betrayed him. They want to set him up and rub him out of the family picture so that way he's not an issue with them taking their mother's place. And so the party agrees to give him amnesty and a second chance of redemption if he agrees to help them overthrow his family.
And he does, because they betrayed him anyways.
Which he does. He has no love for his brothers, and nor they for him. So that evening, they leave the dungeon and they get into a little scuffle with some Tiamat cultists who have an extended history with some treasure that the Vanthampur stole, and also with a little bit of Myasan's backstory regarding a very powerful axe of Bahamut. So after they deal with that situation, some loot is taken, and they go back to the Elfsong Tavern where the Hallow's End Festival is about to begin.
Yeah, well, they get jumped by dragon ninjas, like we so affectionately call them.
Well, that's what I was talking about by the Tiamat cultists.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically look like dragon ninjas. But they deal with them, and they get back to the Elfsong Tavern where Mortlock tells them that he's too noticeable, and he's already on the lam from his family, so he can't help them out in that way. So he tells them that I'll stay here in the Elf Song Tavern while you guys go have fun in the festival, and we'll just convene with our main quest line in the morning.
Yeah, the festival was basically, it was a date for Keokat's character and Casper. And you can get the Hallows End for like, what was it, like
$5?
Like $5 online.
At most.
It's just a PDF, you download it, it's a Halloween special. Pretty straightforward, pretty fun. You go to a fair, there's lots of magical items and fun
and candy.
food and effects that you can get. You fight a big pumpkin man. It's all fun.
So anyways, they come back, and Keokat was not here for this session, but we kept her updated on all the goings-on and what she was missing. She was really jelly.
Yeah, I was texting her the whole time.
But they return to the Elf Song Tavern where they left Mortlock, and they're informed by the tavern owner, whose name is Alan, that, hey, your buddy upstairs is no longer there. I don't know what the deal with that was, but he left this message for you. He said that a letter came in the mail for you, and so he gives them the letter, and it's an apology letter from Mortlock telling them that he couldn't stay because his cover had been blown and that his brothers had sent agents to take care of him, so he had to flee in the middle of the night while they were at the fair.
Yeah, you'd actually prepared some handouts for that, which is really cool.
Yeah, I got some little props for them to use and some notes. And it's really, I tried making it as heartfelt as I could. But Mortlock did say that never let it be said that I didn't honor my agreement. And he left them a map of Baldur's Gate, a floor plan of the Vanthampur family that he lives in, as well as a map to the secret dungeon that his mother operates below their house.
Yeah, so like 3 or 4 handouts.
Yeah, I basically gave them maps to where everything was.
Yeah, D-Legend got them physical. Everyone else got them through email because they play online. Pretty good stuff.
So that happened.
I do think we should try tea staining them or something next time. Just for the immersion.
This was just really last minute, and it's just all I could hobble together. But so before we got the story underway, because the characters decided that they did want to go look for Amric, the middle Vanthampur child, to try and use him as leverage. But first they had some other stuff they wanted to deal with. First things first was Connor wanted to talk to his little contact and talk to the Raven Queen, who is his patron. And he got in contact with an agent who also works for her. And this guy, he was basically saying, does the Raven Queen have any side quests for him? And he's like, you haven't even finished the first side quest she gave you.
Yeah. Like, okay, so the last session, he asked the Raven Queen directly for help, and she got mad at him. She was like, you haven't even tried to fulfill your previous obligation to me. Why should I help you? And she only did kind of get... And she didn't even really help. All she did was...
She gave him more instructions.
Yeah, she was like, wait, that guy's a necromancer? Okay, well, you have to murder him then. I'm not going to help him. Murder him.
Yeah. And so he basically...
Which is good, because Jack was evil.
Yeah.
They thought he wasn't, but he was.
And so basically this agent told him, he said, look, you got to get rid of that necromantic whistle that Maestan gave you, or else you're going to start losing powers from your patron.
Which we've had since the Sunless Citadel, just no one's done anything about it.
Yeah, and so he eventually finds an opportunity to get rid of it, which kudos for him for doing. He got really lucky in that situation.
Yeah, he just weighted it down and threw it in the ocean.
Yeah, in the harbor.
And Baldur's Deep has a very deep harbor,
it's
apparently.
the deepest harbor out of all the major cities. Like, even Waterdeep doesn't have that deep of a harbor.
Yeah.
And it's so deep that there's this, like, myth that there's a giant sea monster that lives at the bottom of it. Like, people will go out on boats and houseboats and go missing in the middle of the night.
There's also some, like, regular shopping that people did. D-Legend tried to sell some treasure, but he was too greedy.
Actually, no, that pawn shop owner was trying to rip him off.
Yeah, I know, but he also wanted, like... he also wasn't haggling very well.
No, he wasn't.
I know he was trying to rip him off because he did that thing with the wide eyes and etc.
And I think he wound up not regretting selling it, or he didn't regret not selling it, because when I showed him a picture of, like, this is basically what the crown looks like. Yeah. It was a pretty awesome piece of headwear.
It's really cool. It has, like, carvings of all Tiamat's different heads on it. It's like a Tiamat, because it's from her treasure. And then Connor tried to sell a magical vibrating necklace, not for its intended purpose, of course.
Yeah, so the necklace was worn by the Tiamat ninja cultists. That sounds really weeaboo when I say that.
Tiamat Ninja Contest.
But so these necklaces are supposed to vibrate violently the closer they get to any of Tiamat's hoard treasure.
And they have Tiamat's hoard treasure, so that thing's in their bag 24/7, like
constantly vibrating. And he tried selling it to this pawn shop owner as a pleasure device.
Insane.
And basically the pawn shop broker says, I might be a lowly pawn shop broker, but this is disgusting. Get your smut out of my shop.
Yeah. And then G bought a saddle for his magical horse that he can summon, and Connor went to like an exchange because he didn't want to have copper pieces on him.
Made a couple of rude, maybe stereotypical comments. But so they eventually do that, and they say, okay, I think we're all set to go look for Amric. And
that's when you had to put them on the right track.
Yeah.
Because they were, many sessions ago, they were given an objective, and they have completely ignored it. But the thing about it is they have to do it before Baldur's Gate descends into hell.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you had to basically force them to do it because they weren't doing it, even though it's G's main quest, and we spent like a whole session setting it up.
And I know exactly how much time they have for all this stuff to happen. Like, they've almost spent 5 days. And I'm going to be totally honest, and we'll be way past it at this point, so I don't mind saying this. The guy who gave them their quest, Captain Zodge, he has spies, like, tailing them anywhere on the city level, like on the city street level. And if, like, after a week the quest isn't done, he, like, gets mad at them and has them, like, hauled back to his office. And he's like, what the fuck have you been doing? Oh, what have you been doing for, like, the last week or so?
Yeah, but this session, this quest, though, wasn't one from Zodge. This was G's story quest. Everyone has their own kind of side quest. And you had to forcibly put them back on that by blowing up a building.
Yeah, I did. Peaky, who is this little golden canary that is a friend of an NPC's, Joshua Winthrop, that is connected to Myastan's backstory, has been helping him search for a golden axe of Tritan, which is this powerful artifact made by Bahamut.
Yeah, Myastan is G's Dragonborn Paladin.
And so Peaky, who's this already established animal companion for this old man, comes up. And
little golden canary.
Yeah, and he's like flapping in their face frantically. He's pulling on little pieces of clothing like, come here, I need you to come this way. And they only just put it together that, like, hey, he wants us to follow him, when all of a sudden, boosh, a building explodes off in the distance.
And I was so ready for this, because there is a villain that I play. I do more than just help with the bookkeeping and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I do actually play NPCs sometimes. This is the second NPC this is the second NPC I've played for this this campaign. And I should have played him like 2 sessions ago, but they just refused to do this quest.
Yeah, they kept putting it off. So they get to this exploded house, and what they don't realize is that this is Joshime's place of residence in Baldur's Gate. This is where he's been living.
And he is the one that's helping Myastan find the axe. And if you don't remember, there is a golden axe that like has breath attacks stored in it from the good dragons, which Myastan's whole religion is for Bahamut is like everyone goes on a quest when they're young to find this axe.
Yeah,
they have to find it by a certain age, or they have to come back and
train the next generation of people who are going to go out and search for it.
Yes. And Joshime is also a follower of Bahamut, and he is also actively looking for the axe, even though he's not necessarily part of the sect of Bahamut worshippers that...
he's not a member of the Platinum Cadre, but he is...
Because everyone in the Platinum Cadre is a Dragonborn, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
His goal is just to keep Bahamut's artifacts and other stuff out of Tiamat worshippers and Tiamat's hands.
Yeah, but earlier he said, he was like, I think I have the location for it. And we were going to do it a little differently than this, but we had to speed it up. So we just made it so that Shumei kind of found the axe
on his own
because they weren't following their quest markers. I know that's more of a video game term, but
so they get up to the house. It's completely engulfed in flames. It's a 3-story building. The lower 2 levels are completely incinerated.
The front's blown out.
Yeah, the front's blown out. It's like someone set off a fireball in this thing.
And then out comes me, the beautiful red Abishai.
Which no one bothered to ask his name. This guy has a name.
Yeah.
It's called Charir Kavar, which stands for the Red Fiend. And this guy is basically like one of Tiamat's top lieutenants.
He's like one of her top 5. Like, he's not even a regular red Abishai stat block. We gave him extra stuff.
I actually have a really cool idea that I want to mention to you later about this guy and his little team that he runs in the Nine Hells. But that's for the story.
We'll do that immediately after the podcast.
So,
because we're still kind of tweaking his stat block a little bit because they're not going to have their big fight with him until the end, basically the end of this story campaign. But the Red Abishai comes out dragging Joshua in one hand and with the axe. That, axe for, level 15 characters.
Yeah, this is like an in-game artifact.
Yes. And he drags out Joshua, throws Joshua on the ground, and Joshua looks up at G's character and then just gets beheaded.
Yeah, he's one shot. This, of course, shocks. I think the suspense building up to it shocked everybody because, when I told him who Joshua was, oh yeah, I remember that character. He was pretty cool.
G remembered immediately who Joshua was, but everyone else had to be reminded.
Yeah,
well, it's G's story, so I don't blame him.
They're like, hey, I remember that old guy. He was pretty cool. Murked.
Didn't even get final words. At first, I thought about having him utter something, but instead I just had him open his mouth to say something and then just get cut off.
And then Peaky, the golden canary, is so distraught about this that it flies at the thing. I don't know what the canary was thinking it was going to do, but it just flew right at this thing, and Charir just swats it to the ground.
I mean, you and I know something about the canary we can't reveal yet, which might help that make more sense. But yeah, he just swats it onto the ground. It smacks the ground, and everyone was like, "Peaky!" Like
they care more about this damn bird.
Yeah, like when Joshua died. Only G was like, "No," and then the bird gets slapped to the ground, and everyone's like, "Ah!
This guy's gotta die!
This guy's going down." So
no, he wasn't. No, he was not.
So, and then the Abishai looks up and sees G's shield, which has the emblem of Bahamut on it, and he was like, "Bahamut, you must be looking for this, huh?" And he kind of mocks him with the axe a little bit, not in a goofy way. I actually had him be a relatively serious character. I'm very passionate about this Red Abishai.
Yeah. And then Corvus, which is Connor's character, he's like, I had Eldritch Blast ready. I want to hit him with it.
That's kind of a joke in our group. He always has Eldritch Blast ready. Every time we do something, he's like, okay, I ready Eldritch Blast? That's going to be the next merch I make for the podcast. It's just going to be a shirt that says, I ready Eldritch Blast. And if he doesn't buy it, I'll buy it. He needs the shirt. It's going to be great. I ready Eldritch Blast. But that's kind of become a meme in the group.
Yeah. So the group proceeds to try and attack Charir, and it's no use. It's literally... Oh, it's over there. Oh.
Yeah. He has a... So he's really tough. I don't know if you guys have ever played against a Red Abishai or run a Red Abishai.
They're the most powerful of all Abishai.
Yeah, they his HP was more than their max group HP combined, just the three of them combined. And what's
his AC at, by the way?
His AC was at 22.
Which is still pretty freaking high.
They got really close a few times. The only person that met it was Connor's character, Corvus. And what happened was he was going to hit him with an Eldritch Blast. And he had a good plan, was to knock him away from the portal. Because we gave this Red Abishai the ability to open portals to hell on a whim. He can just snap his fingers, portal to hell opens.
Yeah.
And he was going to go through it with the axe. There was a timer. They had to do something in time. And they all jumped him. And it was so cool. The way we described the fight was incredible. So G's character Maestan brings the sword down, and then he blocks it with his weapon. And then Corvus summons spiritual weapon behind him. The spiritual hammer comes down, and then he brings his wings up like a shield to block his head. And then we have D Legend's character come to the side and try to strike with a long sword.
And his tail deflects the sword blow.
Yeah, and the tail like wraps around his wrist and stops his arm. And he's like 360 fighting these guys like in some insane action movie. And everyone was like, "Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh no!"
Holy! Can't say that on here.
Yeah, I love JoJo so much. But
yeah, so this guy is without even breaking a sweat fighting off the entire party.
yeah, and then Corvus was the only one. He rolled like a 25 to hit on an Eldritch Blast. And the Eldritch Blast is headed for him, and he goes, counterspell.
Nani?
Counterspell. Because Red Abishais don't normally have counterspell.
Yeah.
They don't know a Red Abishai stat block, but for like a really long time player who might be familiar with that would have been a signal that this isn't a regular Red Abishai.
Yeah, so regular Red Abishai are actually a challenge rating 19, for those who don't know. But this is a custom guy that we specifically made for a character's backstory, so I think he's like a solid 22 with the extra changes we made.
I don't know about that, because we're still kind of tweaking this Abishai.
Yeah.
We know he has higher HP, we know he has counterspell, and we got a couple other ideas that we haven't solidified, but that we've just talked about. But we knew this wouldn't be a full fight. They were designed to lose to him, but not die. Like, because his mission right now is get that axe back to Tiamat.
Yep.
That's it. Staying and fighting risks that mission, even though he was destroying them.
He very well could have one shot, but that was not his goal.
So he like turned around to leave and stuff, and then they did their attacks of opportunity because I could have disengaged. Didn't bother.
Yeah, he literally just turns around and walks away, and everyone tries to make a shot at him.
And
none of them get close to the 22 armor class.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. And then he like turns, smirks, and walks through the portal. It closes, and then there was like 10 straight seconds of silence. Everyone was just like they were so shocked. Especially G, I think. I think G actually really loved that.
Yeah, it was just that shock, awe, and terror. Like,
they were like,
this guy could have easily killed us all. We shouldn't be alive right now.
Yeah, it's like, 1, we should be dead. 2, that was the end game weapon, and he didn't even use any of its powers on us. He just used it to block us.
And decapitate Joshua.
But the Abishai. Ooh, the Abishai. That was my favorite part of today. I definitely want to play more demons in the future.
You will. There's going to be plenty of demons for you to roleplay as. And I'll walk you through all of the bigger ones once we actually get to Avernus, because there are so many cool ones.
I also want to roleplay Archon the Cruel if they run into Archon the Cruel.
There's a good chance that they will, because if they're going after this artifact that Tiamat has stolen, they're going to meet Archon.
Yeah. Like, I kind of just want to play all the Tiamat people. Because I felt like the roleplay I did with G was pretty good. It was pretty good.
So after that, they wrap up the little encounter with the end game boss that they could. Basically, this guy's like a secret boss you would encounter in like Final Fantasy or whatever. You don't have to see this guy again.
It's okay. So think of this Abishai as like the first big dragon you see in Final Fantasy III on Nintendo DS, where like the NPC is like, "Don't fight the dragon, you can't beat it, run." Okay, so when I was a kid, I fought that dragon 1,000 times and I never beat it. And then I realized, wait, the NPC is telling me to run. I'm not supposed to beat this dragon. You're supposed to run from it story-wise. Yeah. So I'd wasted a bunch of Phoenix Downs or whatever the revived things are. So it was like that. It was like that Final Fantasy. I've never thought I'd make a Final Fantasy reference in my life because that's the only game I've ever played. But.
Yeah. So they get over their grief with Josume's loss and they continue their story. And they read in Mortlock's letter that, you know, we need to start thinking more carefully about this because this is like the true power of someone from a denizen of hell. This is the kind of power that they truly wield. We need to be more careful about when we go see the Vanthampurs. And so, like, let's go to the tavern, which is called the Low Lantern, where Amric is located.
It's like on a ship, right?
Yeah, it's an old ship that's been converted into a tavern. It's like chained and anchored to the side of the harbor, and it's got a staircase leading to the upper deck.
Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum, am I right?
Oh yeah, in fact there was even an NPC that was singing sea shanties.
He was the one way on the other side that nobody talked to.
Yeah, well there were a bunch of NPCs that no one interacted with.
Oh, you only put 2 minis down for NPCs.
Oh, my bad.
There was one on the opposite side. There was the one at the bar, the bartender, and then the Vampapore himself.
That was my bad then. So, but yeah, so they actually started talking to him really well. They said, okay, Corvus, you're going to stay out here outside the ship in case he tries to make a run for it so you can intercept him, which he immediately abandoned.
Yeah, as soon as he heard a noise, his plan was, I stand outside, try to block him if he leaves because he has to come down like a ramp because it's a ship. And he also has his imp invisible and ready. Corvus has an imp, and it's invisible, ready to follow him if he escapes. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but as soon as the guy comes out, like Corvus goes inside to stop him, so he's not outside to do his duty. And then also he has the imp do stuff, which gets rid of its invisibility, so it loses its cover. And it's like, you didn't stick to your own plan, dude.
So, anyways, Corvus is supposed to be staying outside, and Jadal, which is D Legend's character, and Mysan, which is G's character, go in to confront Amric, and they actually started off really cool. Mysan headed the interaction, and he was basically saying, there's someone I want taken care of, and Amric's like, oh, well, that's not my usual business, but I do love a good hit, so what can I help you with? And he slowly starts piling on more accusations that, like, Amric is guilty of the crimes that his family's been committed, and he's totally right, he is guilty.
Yeah, of course.
But he's a businessman, and he's savvy with the law, and he's a rich woman's son, so of course he's going to deny everything. But then it gets to the point where Mysan has all this stuff piled against him. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You need to either get out of here or quit wasting my time, and blah, 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 blah. And then Mysan decides, he says, I'm going to cast this spell, which in a certain area of effect requires anyone who fails a saving throw to just answer truthfully to all my questions.
Yeah, they can't intentionally lie.
Yeah, and so I had Amric roll his saving throw, and he rolls a nat 20. There were a lot of nat 20s this game.
Yeah, there were a few. Probably like 4.
So not only was he completely unaffected by the spell, he knew what spell was being cast, and he had a smoke bomb hidden in his pouch. He holds on to that thing all the time, by the way.
Smoke bomb!
Like, that smoke bomb is specifically there for him to make quick getaways. And a chase ensues through the tavern, and
it took too long.
Yeah,
honestly, it took way too long. Not near as fun as a Call of Cthulhu chase.
That's the first chase I've ever run, and I'm sure I'd made a lot of mistakes. I need to get.
I don't think you made any mistakes. I just think there was a lot of indecisiveness. There were a lot of people stepping on each other's toes.
Literally,
it just took longer than it should have.
And basically, trimming all the fat. Amric almost got away until Corvus got a lucky grapple on him, tackled him to the ground, but not before a couple of imps swarmed down and started stabbing him in the ribs.
Yeah.
And then a random NPC appears by the name of Rhea Mantelmorn to basically end the combat. She's got like this big old crossbow that she carries around, and she pinned one of the extra imps to the mast. Tell
us about her a little bit.
So Rhea Mantelmorn is one of the Hell Riders from Eltuel who managed to get into the city through the Hell Riders, through the Flaming Fist blockade. She was confronted initially at the after getting into the city, because you remember she said, I didn't do anything, I didn't mean to, that kind of stuff. You remember hearing any of that?
Yeah, I remember all that.
Yeah, so she actually wound up accidentally injuring a Flaming Fist member in self-defense. That's why she was like so freaked out that the Flaming Fist were hunting her, and why she pulled her sword out on the party.
You even hinted at them that they wouldn't want to reveal they were in the Flaming Fist to her. You were like, so your guys' badges are hidden, right? And they were like, yeah, our badges are hidden. And then Mysan was like, we're in the Flaming Fist. And it was like, dude, why would he ask you that unless it was good to keep him hidden? Like, oh my god, guys.
You're not picking up what I am throwing down.
That was just a momentary lapse of judgment. Not near as bad as the stupid thing they do later on. They actually played better than usual. Normally we make fun of them. All players are stupid in Dungeons and Dragons. We're not saying they're bad players.
No.
All Dungeons and Dragons players are idiots.
Yes.
That's just
I'm a testament to that. Dude, I played Fate.
Dude, your first character committed mass genocide. You destroyed a whole cathedral.
Is Is genocide acceptable term when it's against a religion? Yeah,
it
is. That's genocide.
Of course. Of course, I'm just going to isolate that audio clip and have it say, "Is genocide acceptable?" and then and then send that to your work.
No.
But
so yeah, but that we've already talked about that story.
Yeah, I even edited that story together into one long episode. I don't know if you noticed.
I need to go back and listen all to it at once.
Yeah, I edited the Theocracy campaign, which was the first one we did on the podcast, into one long episode. So you can just listen to it all at once.
But, so Rhea gets freaked out a little bit because she accidentally injured a Flaming Fist member, and she's deathly afraid... I'm making a mess. She's deathly afraid of getting caught. And the whole reason for her entering the city was not so that she could find safety. She actually doesn't like Baldur's Gate. She finds that all the people who live there are horrible people, and that she wishes that they would all just get eaten by rats and stuff like that.
That doesn't seem like a incorrect point so far.
Yeah, no, she hates, like, and that's not her personal view. Like, people in Eltuel have a huge rivalry towards Baldur's Gate and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because while Baldur's Gate opens up a lot of freedom, there's also a lot of corruption and villainy that goes on there. Whereas Eltuel has a much more closed-minded religious view, but it's significantly happier and safer.
It's like Springfield and Shelbyville.
Something like that. I don't really know what that is, but I'll take
Simpsons.
your word for it.
The rival city in The Simpsons is called Shelbyville.
Yes, exactly. So she's not too keen on the people there. But the reason why she entered Eltuel is because she heard a rumor that Thavius Krieg, the High Overseer of Eltuel, not only survived when the city was lost, but he could be somewhere in Baldur's Gate, and he may be connected to the Vampires.
Yeah, there was a part in this where the group kind of revealed to her that he might have been in on that city's disappearance, and she got, like, upset.
Yeah, she was very upset. Like, she didn't believe it. She said, I need more evidence to confirm this, because her, like, whole world started coming down a little bit when she actually did find evidence. Like, she got people to say this, that, and the other, that, yeah, your boss is kind of an asshole.
Poor girl. Poor girl. She's only like a teenager, right?
She is a teenager. She was a recruit for the Hell Riders, and even though she has the veteran stat, she's very, very young.
Poor girl. I do feel bad for her. Like, if you have the veteran stat and you're young, that kind of means you've had a crap life.
Oh, yeah. And everyone in Eltuel idolizes Thavius Krieg. Like, this guy is somewhere between a cardinal and a pope of Eltuel. He's the Holy Father.
Yeah.
So they all decide that, okay, I know... Rhea basically says, okay, I have a secret place we can go where we can interrogate this Baldarian piece of crap, and she refers to Emmerich, and we can make a plan of attack there.
Before we continue, we got to talk about the crit fail. So, I know in the rules it technically doesn't say you can crit fail a skill check in the rules. I don't care. I think it's fun.
Yeah. No, there's definitely lulls to be had.
I don't care. I think it's more interesting if you can crit fail a skill check. Connor's character, Corvus, tries to intimidate him, and he crit fails and gets headbutted and takes 4 damage, and it almost killed him.
Yeah. Now, see, here's the thing. Emmerich is not a fighter. In fact, when he is cornered and subdued, he will abandon all familial and allied ties just to save his own skin. So this guy's basically supposed to beg and give up whatever he can to keep the party from killing him. But Connor failed so bad that it's like, this is too easy. He sees right through you and he just...
Boom! And he did a lot of spitting, too. Like, whenever they'd fail a check to get him to talk, he'd just spit at him.
Yeah.
Quite the jerk. But when they did get him to talk, he was actually... There were a lot of times where they didn't even have to roll for information, because he was very liberal with it. Because...
they had knives and swords to him at all times.
Yeah, but also, in a way, he's like... If they do somehow end up taking out my mother and brother, and they leave me alive because I'm helpful, I'm head of the family.
Yeah, that's definitely what would happen.
Yo.
So they talk to him some more, and they learn some more stuff. He basically tells them, he said, okay, look, I saw Thavius Krieg coming into our villa a while ago. I honestly don't know if he's still there. I spend a lot of my time in the lower city running my money lending business. He probably does have a money laundering business somewhere.
Like Probably.
But he mainly does money lending out of the Low Lantern.
And then when they can't pay, he takes their property and then he sells that.
Pretty much. I mean,
because I know he has a property side too, and that's how I assume.
He literally had a spine devil sitting on the back of his couch when he was at the Low Lantern writing out checks.
Yeah, there was one point when we were fighting, and we kind of forgot about the spine devil for a bit, and then we were like, "Oh wait, there's a spine devil, so we'll have it attack again." And then as soon as soon as they hit it once, then we'll just have it like fall through a portal to hell, so that they know it was a devil.
Yeah.
Because I think they just thought it was a big imp.
I always refer to it as the winged creature because no one bothered to run a religion or an insight check or whatever on it.
That's because they knew the family had a bunch of imps, and they just assumed it was another one of the family's imps. Just a big imp.
Yeah. But anyways, so this is basically what Amber tells him. He says, yeah, I saw Thavius Creed coming into our villa the other day. Don't know much else because I don't spend a lot of time at home. My brother Thirstwell, who's a sickly little jerk, by the way, probably knows more about it than I do, but I don't know if he'll be willing to help you. I can get you into my villa. I can put in a good word with my guards, but no one from the lower city, including the family Flaming Fist, is allowed in the upper city after dark, so I don't know how well you would fare trying to get in there at night. Your best bet is just to keep me by your side and let me walk you in there.
Yeah, we spent way too long planning on how to get in there. Everyone had their own idea on how to get into the manor and etc., or the villa, and no one wanted to what's the word I'm looking for?
Compromise?
No one wanted to compromise. Thank you. And then normally I have this rule. I mean, I'm more of a bookkeeping guy. I just kind of help with bookkeeping and run some NPCs to kind of just take things off of Big Boy Chungus's hands, because once again, everybody's new here except me. So yeah. I'm kind of just coaching, basically.
Yeah, DeAndre, D-Legend,
yeah,
got really good with the combat towards the end with some of the coaching. You were helping him with the book earlier.
After he switched die too. I don't know why he uses that gray D20, because it rolls garbage every time. I was like, switch to the teal one. And he was like, this one? And I was like, no, that's orange. Switch. Which was so funny. And I was like, switch to the teal one. And as soon as he switched to the teal one, he got a nat 20. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So eventually, but I broke my own rule, because normally I don't give them suggestions. Even though I'm not the one behind the DM screen, I'm also not a player right now.
Yeah.
Keocat gave me permission to play her character today, but I don't want to play someone else's character. I don't feel comfortable doing it.
I totally understand that.
I don't know if there's items they don't want me to use and etc. And then I'd have to send her updated sheet, and I just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I totally understand. I think the Players League rules are working out fine.
Yeah, but the Adventurers League. But the thing was, they weren't doing anything, and we sat there forever. And eventually I was like, guys, just go in. You've gotten so many hints. Just go in there with him in front of you so that you can just walk right in. And eventually they were like, we're tired of this too. We'll just do it. And I broke my own rule there, but if I didn't, we would have sat there for like 10 more minutes.
Yeah, and I've been watching some more DMing tip videos. And
you've gotten so good at DMing now.
And there's nothing wrong with letting your players argue. Arguing for a little while can lead to some great role-playing moments.
And as long as they're arguing in character. If they're arguing out of character, put a stop to it. If they're arguing in character, that's just playing the game.
Yeah, but in this situation, it just went on too long, and we finally just like, okay, guys, it's getting late. You need to make a decision about this. It's getting late in game.
Yeah, it's getting late in the world and in the real world too. Like Big Boy Chungus and I were like, we want to watch Adult Swim, man. Let's hurry this out. We want to watch Adult Swim shows on Hulu.
So they eventually make a decision, and that night it was Jadal's turn to have a little bit of a player moment, because if you guys remember from when they were...
they went to the villa in the morning, didn't they?
Well, no, but Jadal had a little surprise visit from his patron.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, the other two players didn't really have anything to do then, but they seemed pretty interested. They had some commentary, which I always enjoy.
So basically, Jadal goes to sleep that night, and he knows that he made a pact with some unknown being when his character basically died at the hands of the Mercule Necromancer back in the Dungeon of the Dead 3.
I can't believe I forgot about that, because I helped you write the contract, and I still forgot about it.
And basically, who he signed a contract with was... let me see. Levistus, who is the Lord of the 7th level of Hell. Like, this guy is supposedly more powerful than the one that's on the cover of Descent into Avernus.
Zariel, yeah.
Yeah, so he's got his whole realm that he basically rules. And he is the Demon Lord of the Desperate and the Scorned. And
He's the icy level, dude.
Yeah, he rules the level of Hell that is basically one big tundra and full of glaciers and frozen seas. And he does not have a cult per se, but he gets followers by making deals with people who have nowhere else to turn and are in life or death situations. Because you're not going to say no to any kind of deal when you're about to have your head cut off.
Faux show, yo.
So, and D Legend's character was already on the brink of death, so that's why Levistus picked him out.
Yeah, I mean, in our D&D groups, we call that pulling a genie.
Yeah,
because
of me.
Because the first time that happened in one of our groups in recent years was when Fate was saved by the Djinn from his backstory. And now, when a character dies kind of before their time, it's pulling a Djinn. It's pulling a genie.
You never had a friend like me.
I never had a friend like me. Yeah, I can't believe he didn't say that when the genie resurrected you. I cannot believe the DM did not make that.
I think he meant to. He just forgot.
I think he just takes the game more seriously than Karen and I were taking it. Because we love the genie. We think it's funny. Yeah, because his character died the session before. And then in the very next session, his brand new character died, and we were like, "We can't."
I'm not helping you make a new character. Yeah. You're either going to die now, or you're going to sign a devil deal. So basically, now normally in this kind of deal, you would force a player to take some warlock levels at their next level up. But one, I didn't feel like learning how to multi-class yet. And two, D Legend is still so new to the game that I didn't want to force him to learn. So what I did was I looked at Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and rather than giving him a Warlock level, I just gave him an ability that most people who are aligned with Levistus get anyways. So he gets a cool little power in exchange for a really bad deal he's getting ripped off on.
He is getting ripped off, because, I mean, any contract with the devil is going to be heavily in the devil's favor, at least in a technical sense. So we were making the thing, and we were like, okay, so there are 3 options that could happen for his soul. 2 of them end in hell.
Yeah. So basically...
But one of them is like general soul wandering hell, and one of them is
your soul is mine.
Hell serving this dude.
So, yeah. So basically the way the deal works is that D Legend's character has a new ability where he can teleport out of any situation where he would normally die. He can teleport within a mile of any place that he's already been or has seen. And when he does teleport, he is completely restored of all HP and key points.
Yeah, we made it so that he has to be able to picture it in his mind, or he can't teleport there.
Yes, but he can only do, Levistus has already given him one freebie. He says, you can use this once.
We can't reveal too many details, because if he listens to it, then he'll know.
Yeah, so basically, Levistus says that I'm only going to let you use this power if you do what I say, or as he says, if you acquiesce to my requests, and if you don't, then we're going to have some problems.
We're going to have a little problem here.
And D Legend had some great role-playing with the Demon Lord, or not the Demon Lord, he's not a demon. I even made a whole point of saying this. He says, I'm no mere demon.
He was insulted.
He says, he is a... what do they call an archdevil? He's an
ignorant mortal.
No, I called him a know-nothing mortal.
Yeah, he said you've really shown that you're a know-nothing mortal. It was really dramatic. D Legend did the best role play of his career.
I even gave him a fate point for it.
He did deserve a fate point. He was grunting in pain and stuff when chains were pulling him down.
Yeah, he was going full anime character.
I was like, that's above and doing the grunts in pain. I've never played with anyone who did that before.
That's great.
I've been playing for 11 years. I've never played with anyone who actually made sounds like they were in pain when their character was in pain. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, but Levistus basically told him, I gave you a little bit of power, but just in case you forget, let me show you what I can do if you displease me. And he's got ghostly chains on his body, and he made him feel cold and isolated. And then D Legend saw as like he was speaking, the ice got brighter and brighter as you look down until finally he's like there's this giant shapeless mass in the ice, and that's basically what Levistus is.
Yeah, he's trapped in ice, right?
Yeah, he basically did something to tick Asmodeus off, and Asmodeus says, "I'm going to leave you the leader of this realm, but you're not going to be able to go anywhere. Haha, I am God."
Got him. Classic devil stuff.
And then D Legend's character actually did ask. He said, "Can I roll a religion check on this guy?" And I'm like, "Go for it." And he says, like, all right, so you know this guy's name and you've heard of him, but you don't know much else about him. All that you know is that he is very powerful, but he is not top dog. And he says, "Are you kidding me? This guy isn't like the devil of all devils?" I'm like, "No, he works for the devil of all devils."
Like,
and he's not even the highest devil who works for this devil among devils.
it was pretty rad. But this kind of gets us to a point where the meme has been translated. So a couple months ago, when we recorded this episode, I posted a meme kind of to hint at this
Spoilers.
session. Yeah, it was called D&D Spoilers Without Context. It had a picture of an axe, a picture of Richie Rich, a picture of a headbutt, and a picture of a Halloween devil costume. So now we can reveal all those references. So the axe was
the axe of Tritan.
The axe of Tritan. The Richie Rich, you see the Vanthapor guy that they were chasing, we were calling him Richie Rich because we couldn't remember his name.
And he was a rich, spoiled jerk.
We were calling his assistant something else, but we can't really...
Yeah, we can't say that.
It rhymed. And then there was a picture of like a headbutt from a self-defense like website.
Yeah.
That was the headbutt where
Connor almost died.
Corvus almost died. And then the dream with the devil is the picture of the Halloween costume. And I sent that to our group chat right after it happened. And you guys were laughing like crazy. You thought it was the funniest thing in the world. And that made me feel so happy. Because I thought you guys wouldn't think it was funny. And
it's satire. It satirized the whole session up to that point.
Yeah, maybe I'll post it again if people want to see. It's on the Facebook page, so check out the Facebook page, link in the description below.
So D Legend's character wakes up from this whole ordeal. He's not doing too well. Wakes up in a cold sweat, and then he even goes and checks the basement where they were holding Amric to like. Hello?
Like he was freaked out.
Are there any archdevils down here?
He was so freaked out. It's like checking on... That's basically the equivalent of checking under the bed for monsters.
Which makes me feel good as a DM because that means that I really instilled terror into one of my players.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
So they ship out for the Vanthampur Villa and they do a really good job. Maestan summons his... steed, which is what he gets at level 5 as a paladin. He puts Amric on it with his hands tied around to make it look like, oh, nothing's wrong here. He's just a nobleman riding on his horse with his little entourage. And they get through the gate no problem because of this. They even manage to get into the villa grounds with no problem. And everything's going great until they get through the front door.
Yeah, once they get through the front door, like the first thing that happens is they're attacked by like 4 imps.
And at first, I did a really good job. At first, everyone was confused. Like, Amric, you jerk, you sprung a trap. We knew we shouldn't have trusted you.
And he's, like, laying on the ground trying not to get hurt. And he's like, I'm not doing this! Like, he's cowering on the ground so he doesn't get attacked. It's like, yeah, he didn't do it, guys. He's in danger.
And then, so these imps are flying around, and they dispatch him fairly quickly, despite taking some poison damage. But they pull Amric up, and they're like, you jerk, you said you weren't going to double-cross us. We knew we shouldn't have listened to you. He's like, excuse me, who have I said this whole time is the one who controls the imps? He's Thirstwell. They're like, yeah! And he says, like, did I ever say that Thirstwell and I were good friends? You've seen my relationship with Mortlock.
And he, like, shouts at him. He's like, Thirstwell, stop sending imps to attack. And, like, from the upper floors of the house, you hear, screw you!
And they're like, okay, fair point.
It was so funny. And then there was one point where the guards, like, rushed in because they heard commotion, and he sent the guards away. And then, let's kind of move this forward to when they get to Thirstwell's room.
This was the one point that made me want to facepalm.
Like, there was a previous session where we mentioned, like, they were going to do something stupid. Remember when they almost turned themselves into tree thralls
Yeah.
with that potion, and we had to walk
They
out.
almost literally turn themselves into vegetables.
Like, we had to walk out, like, because they're about to do something so stupid. You and I walked out of the room, and we're like, oh my god, if they do this, they're dead.
I think we've done that at least once every session.
Yeah, that's the major time we did it. And then this session, we did it again. Not because this time they almost total party wiped themselves, but because this time they... Okay, so
the best way I can summarize it, do you remember the movie Paul Blart Mall Cop?
Yes.
Remember at that one scene where he tosses the bad guy the keys to the building, and he pulls out the bottle of hot sauce, and he like shoots it halfway across the room to get in the guy's eye, and the guy's like stunned, like, oh, I got hot sauce, Tabasco sauce in my eyes, and everyone's telling Bart like, yeah, he's incapacitated, go get him, and he just stand there and does nothing. He does not capitalize on the situation, and the bad guy's just like, what the heck? And Paul Blart even says, should have capitalized on that a little bit more.
Bad joke, but it's still...
But that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
The setup was there, but nothing happened.
So the guy won't let him into the room. And then G and Connor are like, okay, we're going to get ourselves ready to knock down this door. They are in position to knock down the door.
This is Thirstwell's room, by the way. The guy who has all the imps that's been spying on them since they started the Dungeon of the Dead 3.
Yeah, so they get ready. They're in their position, ready to charge and slam into that door. Maya Stan is the one doing it. Connor's character, Corvus, is giving him advantage, and they're ready to go. And then DeAndre's character is like, let me see if I can do a little deception. Rolls a nat 20. Like, it rolled out of his it bounced out of his dice tray and then rolled into view of the webcam so everyone saw it. And we were like, oh yeah! He like ran around the house a little bit, and then the guy was like, because he was like, oh, I came here to learn from your genius because you're the smartest person in the city. And he very well might be the smartest person in the city.
He's not really. He just has a big ego and a lot of spare time.
When you're sick, you read a lot. But he was like, finally someone recognized my Jesus. My Jesus. My genius. Someone recognizes my Jesus. Recognizes his genius. And then he unlocks the door and cracks it to let D-Legend's character in.
Which he wasn't supposed to, like, this whole scene was supposed to end with basically Thirstwell hiding behind the bed and the imp in the one room attacking whoever comes through. They were not supposed to enter that room peacefully.
Yeah, according to the book, but
yeah.
Nat 20. So then it's like you'd think the guys who were ready to knock the door down at the point where it's unlocked and cracked would slam into it.
And that's what the setup was. Like, D-Legend successfully got this door open. He got one of the main bad guys to drop his guard, and the door is by about 1.5 inches visibly open. You would think, okay, door's open, police get on the ground.
Yeah, he gave them the perfect moment to enact their plan, and as soon as it cracked, they were like, oh, okay, we'll just relax now.
And then
we won't do anything.
And then I straight up asked them, because D-Legend was going to go into this room by himself and talk to this guy, not knowing what was behind on the other side. Like, Thirstwell could have very well just been planning his own little deception here and taking some guy out one at a time. They had no idea what was on the other side of this door. And I straight up asked, okay, so let me clarify this. D-Legend, you are entering this room by yourself, no party support, and you are just going to let him lock the door behind you? And he said, yep. I said, okay.
And the other guys were like, we're not going to knock the door down now. We're going to be good boys.
We're going to wait out in the hallway.
And then I was like, can I talk to you in the other room for a second? And we went in the other room and we're like whisper shouting at each other. We're like, they're so stupid. What are they doing? They had the perfect opening and then they just stopped. This could be over. But then D-Legend goes in, and I got to criticize you a little bit here.
Yes, I see my mistake here.
Because D-Legend was about to have a big roleplay moment, and it seemed like he was a little excited about it. And then you kind of just had the NPC do what G said he would do and just burst through that door and stop the dude. Which was a totally fine thing for her to do, but I think you should have let him do his roleplay first.
I should have.
You just did it too soon.
Yeah.
Constructive criticism.
And it's one that I will take to heart and take note of.
But it did need to happen because he went in there and then G and Connor are just like, all right, we're just going to stand here. Connor left the room.
Yeah, I was so worried that I was so worried that the party was going to separate into individuals and just go about this enemy-filled area one by one just to go exploring. I'm like, please don't do this.
Yeah, so there's one point where G is in the hallway, Connor's on a balcony, and then what's D Legend's character's name again? I never remember. Jadal. And then he's in the dude's room. So they're all in different rooms. Connor's like exploring with Corvus. And I was like, oh man. Dude.
And Connor almost got himself murked because that suit of armor. Yeah, so there's a study in this house that has a sentient suit of armor, but it's not an animated armor. Oh no, it is a helmed horror. Which is a challenge level 4 construct monster, which is basically a piece of armor channeled and energized by Doom Guy level Argent energy.
Yeah, that was a good way to explain it, I thought. At least for those of us who played Doom 2016. I mean, it is very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
It looks like it could be a Doom enemy.
He almost walked into that room and set that thing off, which it would have chased them.
I think he had a successful Arcana check because he did expect it to come to life. So that was good. But I remember later, because eventually she dragged she was in there with the Vampire guy, and then some guards came. They were alerted because Thirsty Boy, that's how I remember who he is, because I remember Thirst. He shouted for the guards. 5 guards came. They completely destroyed them. Just demolished these guards.
The guards were kind of dumb, actually, because at one point, Maya Stan straight up obliterated one, turned him to pudding, and painted the walls with his blood, and he's like, you need to leave now before you're like your friend. And they're like, come on, we can take him.
Yeah, over half the group is dead, and they're like, we got this, though, right? It was pretty funny. But if they left, I would have insisted they come back with reinforcements. But
they would have.
They destroyed these guards. They got to use their water item from the previous session. That's one thing I did at the beginning of this session. I was like, all right, everyone, if you didn't write down the descriptions for your items from the Halloween special, you need to do that because they're not items that you can just search whenever you want to use them. So you need to write down the specifics now. We made sure that was done. I still need to make sure that Keokat's character does that because she actually had the most items. She has fruit left over. She has the puppet, etc.
Yeah.
So she needs to do that too. I'll have her do that before the next session begins. But yeah, they just destroyed these guys. They put out the fire. Because Connor's character Corvus used a potion of fire breathing, which was very cool. And they did that, kicked some butt with it. It's a very good magical item. Really destroyed some guards with that. And it kind of set the house on fire a little bit. He used his ball of, wetness or splashing?
Ball of splashing.
Ball of splashing. You can squeeze it and 3 gallons of water will come out.
It's basically an infinite source of potable water.
Yeah. Lots of clever ways to use it. Put out fires, have water in the desert, etc.
You can drink from it. I mean,
yeah.
That's going to be handy as all get out when they actually get to hell.
Yeah, I know.
People in hell always be wanting ice water. Well, wish granted.
Oh, man.
But we ended the session with, after that combat, Rhea intimidated Thirstwell because she did hear from Amric that Thirstwell would know more about Thavius Krieg and some of the other stuff going on. And basically what he tells them is 3 snippets of information. That 1, Thavius Krieg was in league with the Vanthampurs. He made a deal with Thalmara Vanthampur, who's the Vanthampur matriarch, and that he sold out Eltuel to them. The Vanthampur matriarch is basically working with the archdevil Zariel, who is wanting to do the same thing to Baldur's Gate, so that 1, she can have a ton of power when she eventually dies and does go to Avernus, and 2, so that she can become the Grand Duke of Baldur's Gate and replace older Ravengard. And then that there was also another 2 artifacts that were playing a key role in the Vanthampur household, one of which being a mysterious metal puzzle box that Thirstwell was playing with, which was given to him by Thavius Krieg. Big Hellraiser reference right there.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, Hellraiser, dude. We will tear your soul apart.
We have such sights to show you.
Yes, we gotta have a demon that talks like that.
Oh, there's gonna be. And then the second one is one that the characters have not seen yet, but Thurswell basically tells them that earlier when Thavius Krieg was on his way here, I created a plan and my brothers executed it. There was a shield in a crypt below Baldur's Gate that we exhumed called the Shield of the Hidden Lord, which basically has a demon by the name of Gagoth hidden in it that Thavius Krieg is looking at right now.
There was one funny part, because Connor really wanted to fight that armor, but he didn't want to do it alone, which was smart.
Oh, yeah.
So he was like, guys, we got to go fight that armor. Come on, guys, let's go fight that armor. I have Shatter. You guys.
How many times did he say I have Shatter?
He described the effect of Shatter like 4 times. And he was like, guys, I have Shatter. It's going to do extra damage because it's non-organic, guys. I got Shatter. It was so funny. And eventually he was like, guys, we should go fight that. And I was like, why? It's not like you have Shatter or anything. It's like, man, it might be a good idea if you had Shatter. And then he was like, he kind of shut up after that. But
and then, so they go into the room, but Amrit goes with them. And basically this suit of armor will only attack people if they don't have a Vanthapur family member vouching for them. And Amric's like, power off. And he's like, okay, I'll go stay back in the corner. And so I don't remember where Connor said he picked up. I think he was on the map that I showed him, but he said, there's a dungeon up at the top of this tower above where the armor is. And he was right. There were a couple of mobile cells.
Earlier, you showed that guy the map when he was tied up, and they asked him about the tower.
Oh, yeah.
And he said there were cells in there.
Yeah, he said there's a couple of prison cells, but that's not the main dungeon. And he said, okay, I want to go save the prisoners. Like, almost like Sheriff did.
I'm going to go save the prisoners.
And so he goes up there, and he sees 2 people, one in each cell with a chamber pot. And he's like, hey, are you guys prisoners? And they don't say anything. They just kind of look at him like they're freaked out. He says, I'm going to let you out of the cages now. And before they do, like, one of them just straight up looks up at the rafters like they're terrified. And all of a sudden they start getting these puncture wounds all over their bodies. Like, ah! Ah!
Which are invisible imps.
Yeah, and Connor's like, what the heck? I didn't know what was going on.
Connor's character, canon, sounds like Sheriff. Corvus is canon, legit Sheriff.
So Connor's like, I want to open the door to get them out of there. And the door's locked, obviously. Otherwise, why would the prisoners stay in there?
I remember one time they were like, are the doors locked? And you were like, you haven't tried. And then they tried, and you were like, yeah, they're locked, dude. Duh. Which was so funny. You just trolled them so hard with that. Like, you could have just been like, well, there's people in the cells, so yeah. But instead, you just played with them like that. That was so funny.
So, yeah, it's like, oh no, I need to find a way to get the doors open. It's like, doesn't matter, they're already dead.
Yeah, they're dead. Well, you didn't even say they were dead, but they were dead.
Yeah, I mean...
You said they fell to the floor, and then he was like, well, I guess they're dead. No need to check them, see if I can save them.
They have like 9 punctures. They've seen firsthand what imp stingers can do.
And they know they're poisonous.
And these prisoners are like just covered in
Like
them.
Corvus himself has an imp, so he understands.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense.
So we wind up leaving the session off where they've been told where the entrance to the dungeon is. They're going to go down there at the beginning, and they are now expected to face Thamalra Vanthampur herself.
And the religious dude.
Yeah, Thavius Krieg.
That'll be fun. And hopefully by either the very end of next session or some point in the session after that, we'll be in hell.
Oh yeah, one more thing, and I might as well just add this for flavor. One of the characters did actually ask Amric, what's your mother like? What should we expect? And he's like, expect a lot of bad things. And they're like, well, how old is she? And I'm like, well, she's like 75 years old, something like that. He says, well, that's not bad.
Yeah, because Thirstwell's 42.
He's 42 years old.
Yeah,
she's an old woman, but. He said, but she's really physically fit. Like, she used to be a laborer and everything when she was
6 foot and jacked.
Yeah, I showed a picture of him, and Amric actually laughed when she said, well, she's 75 years old, she can't be that bad. And he said, you remember my brother Mortlock? And they said, yeah. Let's just say he didn't inherit his build from his father. They showed her this woman. She's got, like, the we can do it pose.
Yeah, she was in World War II propaganda posters.
She's barrel chested, broad shouldered, and she's got muscles on muscles.
And a Thessum to fight alongside her too.
Yeah, little
winged cat, ugly little creature.
You guys actually haven't seen the Tressum yet.
We saw the statue of the Tressel.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
There was a statue of her with the Tressel.
Which is lifelike with color and everything, by the way. And they were just... there was supposed to be a scare moment where it's like, here is the Phantom Poor Matriarch standing before you in all her glory. And it's like, Connor's like, oh, kitty!
What was that cat's name again?
Slobber Chops.
That seems like a dog name. I don't know, man. Seems like a dog name to me.
But that's where we ended the session. We got a lot done today.
That was very fun. They were kind of top of their game today, minus one or two goofs.
Yes.
They did quite well. It was longer than usual. I think if Keocat would have played today, she probably would have fallen asleep because she can't go too long.
Well, we would have definitely ended earlier as soon as someone said, I'm done for the day.
Yeah, but I actually really enjoyed this session. I'm going to try to role play some NPCs a little more in the future. The more complicated, very story necessary NPCs I'm going to leave to you, just because you have the book.
Yeah.
The ones that I don't super need the book for, I will...
Well, what I'll do is after this and before our next session, I will go through the story and just point out, like, okay, here's some random enemy NPCs that are going to have a little bit of dialogue, but not too much, that you can totally take control over.
When we get to Archon the Cruel, I'll probably need notes.
Yes.
I'll need physical notes.
I actually didn't realize this, but Archon is a Critical Role original character.
Yeah.
Like, Matt Mercer made him, and he was such a well-written character from one of their previous campaigns that they just inserted him into Descend into Avernus as a main antagonist.
Yeah, Critical Role is really popular. I'm never going to listen to it because I don't like live play shows. Except Harmon Quest, but that's because they edit it down and it's animated. But I don't like live play shows. Also, it's been going for so long. Catching up on it would be...
I'll tell you one thing that's even funnier. I much rather like the little animated shorts that the fan made. I watched one the other day where apparently there was a story where they were infiltrating a religious church of Bahamut, no less.
Bahamut.
And they defaced a floating 3D statue of Bahamut himself. And one of the characters has a disguise kit that they used, and they straight up dressed as the head religious figure, who is a old dragonborn, by the way. And this manhunt pursues where they're like, we're looking for an imposter. He's disguised himself as the head priest. And then, like, the imposter dresses the head priest and the head priest himself are in the same room. And the imposter is straight up convinced that the real head priest is the imposter. And they start, like, arresting him. He's like, what are you doing? No!
Oh my god, that's funny. That's really funny. I'm sure they figured out he was the real guy later.
No, they did, but they got away scot-free.
Yeah, that's funny. I'm never going to listen to Critical Role, but I've seen a couple animatics like that. But yeah, that is it for today's episode. Went a little longer than our usual D&D episodes usually do. We're usually around 45 minutes. We're at over an hour now. But I knew this one would go longer simply because this was a longer session with a lot of goofs, a lot of gaffes, a lot of gags, and all great stuff. I also got a rule book today for a new TTRPG, Tiny Frontiers, Mecha and Monsters. I think I'm actually going to try to get some people that aren't in this group together to play this at some point, if I can learn it. There's not really any how-to videos for it online, because it's kind of it's a printed-on-demand TTRPG. It's an expansion of Tiny Frontiers, but you don't need Tiny Frontiers to play it. But that is it. It was a fun session. I'm glad we got to bring my Abishai in. Oh man, I can't wait to do stuff with him again. But that's it. Thank you all once again for your support, and I'll see you all next time